If you told me a year ago that Apple was secretly building a console killer for the living room, I would have laughed you right off the internet. Honestly, I'll believe it when I see it. But right now, out of Cupertino, the supply chain whispers are getting so loud that we literally cannot ignore them anymore. We are talking about a completely unhinged strategy shift. Apple is allegedly splitting their living room lineup in 2026 into two completely different beasts. We have an Apple TV Pro for the regular folks and something entirely new, the Apple TV Ultra. And let me tell you, this Ultra model is not just another black box to stick under your TV for watching Netflix. It is reportedly a full-blown gaming, AI, and smart home machine that might actually justify the Apple tax for once. Wait, really? Apple, the company that treats gaming like an afterthought, is actually getting serious? Let's look at the hard evidence because the supply chain guys are working overtime on this one. Ming-Chi recently put out a note suggesting a major shift in Apple's living room strategy, hinting at a two-tier system where the premium tier gets a massive performance leap. Then you've got Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg constantly talking about how Apple is absolutely desperate to dominate the smart home, and is pushing hard on entirely new integrated chips, like that rumored Proxima networking chip for Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth. Sick. And if you follow Shrimp Apple Pro, you have probably seen the rumblings about a much thicker, more aggressive chassis design for a future Apple TV unit. Why make it thicker? Cooling. But we will get to that in a second. Even Ross Young has been weighing in on Apple's broader screen and ecosystem plans, making it very clear that the living room is the next major battleground for the company. The very first thing we have to talk about with this Apple TV Ultra is the silicon. Streaming apps are incredibly easy to run. Even 4K movies are barely a challenge for hardware from 5 years ago. Nobody is buying an Ultra model, just so the Apple TV home screen feels 1 millisecond faster. The only reason to put a monster chip inside a set-top box is gaming. We are talking about Apple dropping an A18 Pro or even an A19 level chip into this thing. The data coming out of DG Times recently regarding TSMC 3nm yields suggests that Apple actually has a surplus of these high-end dies. Repurposing them for a premium living room device makes perfect sense from a manufacturing standpoint. This means hardware-accelerated ray tracing, MetalFX upscaling, better shadows, better reflections, and stable frame rates that do not randomly drop after 20 minutes of gameplay. But a fast chip inside a tiny box is a thermal nightmare. A smartphone chip can push crazy benchmark numbers for about 2 minutes before it gets insanely hot. In a living room console, thermal throttling is the absolute enemy. You sit down for a 2-hour racing game session, and if that box cannot breathe, your frame rate falls off a cliff. This is where reports from the ELEC get super interesting. They've been tracking Apple's supply chain orders for advanced vapor chamber cooling systems and significantly larger heat sinks that do not match any known iPhone or iPad dimensions. Couple that with Makotakra claiming they've seen accessory manufacturers prepping for a much larger, heavier Apple TV footprint, and the picture becomes incredibly clear. The Apple TV Ultra is going to be physically bigger to accommodate serious cooling. It has to stay fast, not just burst fast. Before we go any deeper into the ecosystem side of things, let me know down in the comments, what is your daily driver for living room gaming right now? Are you purely on a PS5 or Xbox? Or would a hyper-integrated Apple mini console actually make you switch? Drop a comment because I'm super curious if Apple can actually steal hardcore console players. Alright, let's talk about the software experience because raw power means absolutely nothing if the software is a complete disaster. tvOS on this Ultra model needs a dedicated, built-from-the-ground-up gaming space. Right now, Apple TV treats games like they're just regular apps scattered around the home screen. That cannot happen on the Ultra. You need a space where your controller battery, your cloud saves, your recent sessions, and your graphics modes all live in one clean interface. The secret weapon here is seamless integration with the AP Play ecosystem. You've got your iPhone in your pocket, your Mac on your desk, your AirPods in your ears, and your Apple account holding it all together. You are playing a game on your iPhone on the train. You walk into your living room and instantly hand it off to the Apple TV Ultra on your OLED screen, with your AirPods automatically switching over and your controller pairing instantly. No massive power bricks, no messy setup, just pure ecosystem magic. But there is a massive elephant in the room here, and it is the games. Apple Arcade is great for families. It is completely free of ads and those ridiculous in-app purchase coin traps. But you cannot sell an Apple TV Ultra on casual games alone. If Cupertino wants us to take this seriously, they need massive, controller-first, console-style games that actually look like they belong on a massive screen. We are talking big open worlds, intense sports titles, and racing games with actual ray-traced reflections. PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo completely own this mindshare right now. Apple cannot just slap the word Ultra on a box and expect gamers to throw their wallets at the screen. The library has to prove it, and the controller feel has to be absolutely flawless. And then we have to talk about Apple Intelligence, because AI on a TV is completely different from AI on a phone. Nobody wants to sit on their couch and ask their TV to rewrite a work email. That is just weird. Apple Intelligence on the Apple TV Ultra has to be the brain of the living room. Imagine holding your controller and saying, "Find the movie with the airport fight scene," or switch the TV to performance mode, or turn off the lights and start the movie. We need a Siri that actually understands context without making you repeat yourself 5 times. The TV is a shared space. When Siri messes up on your phone, you are the only one who sees it. When Siri completely fails to find a movie in front of your entire family, everyone groans. It has to be blazing fast, entirely private, and incredibly reliable. It needs to know exactly who is speaking, load up personalized profiles instantly, and control your smart home accessories without a single hitch. Would you pay $400 for an Apple TV if it meant perfect smart home control and solid gaming? Or is the Apple tax just too high? This brings us right to the smart home angle. The Apple TV Ultra is perfectly positioned to be the ultimate hub. It is always plugged in, always connected, and sitting right in the center of your house. With rumored support for Thread, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6, and deeply integrated Apple Intelligence, this box becomes the brain managing your lights, cameras, locks, and thermostat. It is a gaming machine by night and a smart home commander by day. That is a vastly better sales pitch than just telling people the new Apple TV opens Netflix half a second faster. But everything comes down to price. Apple TV is already significantly more expensive than a cheap streaming stick from Amazon or Roku, and most people just use the native apps built into their smart TVs anyway. So the Apple TV Ultra has to loudly justify its existence. If it ends up costing $300 or $400, the immediate question is why not just buy a digital PS5? Apple's answer has to be the perfect blend of premium performance, elite smart home control, and flawless ecosystem handoff. They shouldn't even try to directly fight Sony or Microsoft on raw teraflops. That is a losing battle. Instead, they need to market the Ultra as the most premium, friction-free living room experience on the planet for people already bought into the Apple world. The Apple TV Pro will likely be the safe, clean upgrade for most folks with a faster chip and slightly better remote, good enough for streaming. But the Ultra has to be the headline grabber. It needs more GPU power, more storage for massive game files, more memory for local AI processing, and a thermal design that can take a beating. If they get the silicon right, if the cooling holds up, if the game developers actually show up, and if Apple Intelligence proves useful on the big screen, the Apple TV Ultra could entirely rewrite what a set-top box is supposed to be. It will not just be another accessory, it will be the absolute center of the living room.